Hi everyone, it's Jenny from Marine Airflow. I want to introduce the ACT tool to you and give you a brief overview of how to use it and the type of results you'll get. So ACT is actually being produced by us. It's going to be completely free. As far as I'm aware, we're never going to charge for it. It's very, very simple to use and typically to be used by naval architects, designers and even some manufacturers. So what ACT is going to do is actually going to enable you to calculate the penetration sizes and the air volume required for your proposed engine room space based around the size of the space, the horsepower you have and the operating conditions of your vessel. So knowing this obviously is going to enable you to achieve the best possible results for your clients. If you Sorry, start again there. We are actually going to invite a certain amount of people just because we've been in contact with you and we've dealt with you before. So if that's the case, we will send you an invitation link. What you'll then do is you'll click that link. It will take you to the ACT. It will ask you to assign a password. And then once you've done that, it should put you straight into the app. If it doesn't, please let us know because it is a traditional two-stage setup. So we've set that up under our app guidelines that should give you direct access. If it doesn't, it just means that we need to approve you manually. If you haven't actually signed up, you just need to go to the footer of the ACT website and that will enable you to fill out the form, which will come through to me and then we will approve it. It's easy to do and there's a little bit of information in there we require that's not really used for the app. You can just see the form here, but we just need it to make sure that it's going to work in your situation and is going to suit your application. So just fill that in and then press the submit button. That will come through to me and then we will approve you. It's that simple. So if you actually have already signed up and we have given you access and you've set your password, sorry, I had a little mental blank there, you just need to come to this sign in page, just fill in your information and then just click sign in. This link here that I'm showing you now, that's actually how you could actually sign up if we haven't invited you. Just your name, your email address, the email address you want to use for the form, you capture information and then click submit. And like I said before, that will come through to us and then I will approve you. So that's, pretty simple process. So, sorry, I'm just going to click the sign in button here. Okay, just the information and sign in. Okay, and this is kind of what we call the desktop. It's a pretty simple app, so it doesn't show you heaps. It's really simple. It's just a form and a results listing, really. So by default, it comes into the form because it assumes that you want to do a new calculation. Over here is your little profile info. So you can change your password here or sign out. Now, just be aware of that if you lose your password, we can't reset it. We don't have access to it. So you just need to go to your sign in tab and there's a forgot password link on there. So if you click that, that will just walk you through, send you an email and walk you through the process. It's really easy, but just to confirm, we can't see your password and we can't reset it. So you're the only one that can do that. And obviously you can just kind of sign out using that link as well. So now that we're in here, you can see the form's actually pretty easy. There's not a lot to it. I'm going to actually show you what the results list is going to look like first. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to click that. Now I haven't done any tests today, so there's nothing in here because I've deleted all off the old ones. But this is where you're going to come to have your list of reports. So it's going to show you everything you've done in the past in a list. So pretty simple. So let's go back to the form. Okay, now the data will fill in by default. This name here, that's going to be your name. This isn't your client name, it's your name. Now, the reason we've put that there is because if you want to use, multiple people in your office want to use the same login for ACT, we have no challenge with that. What that will mean is that all your results are going to be in the one place. So if you have different logins, different people doing different reports will all show in their logins and you won't be able to share that information across the app. So you can only see what's under your login. So the reason we put this here is that if you do use a one login, it means that someone else in your office can actually come in and put their name in there so that you know who actually completed that particular calculation. So that's really all that's about. So this next field is the email field. Now it's the email that is set up under your login and that will fill in by default. So they'll automatically put that in there. However, if there's, like I say, if there's more than one person in your group that wants to use the platform, you can actually put a different email in here. So you can just overwrite that with whatever you need to do. Just be aware this is not for your client's email. If you put your client's email in here, the report will go to your client and I'm sure they'll end up extremely confused. So you can override that at any time. So once we come down to the vessel reference here, we're just going to put in something that's unique to you, something that will mean something. So it might be a project ID or a quote ID or a boat name or anything like that. So it's just going to be whatever makes sense to you so you can use it as a reference. When we come down to our next lot of fields, this is the information you're going to provide to us. You'll notice when you hover on a field, you get what's called a little tooltip. So this will actually tell you what the field needs and how the format should be. So for example, length, width, height of engine room. I realize a lot of people, especially in Australia, measure in millimeters. However, we need this to be in meters. So if it's 2800 mil, for example, you would need to put 2.8 in here. So all three of these fields are all decimal fields. So we just fill them out. Okay, and this field is the total horsepower of all the equipment in your engine room. So your main engine and any ancillary equipment you have, generators, etc. So it's all of them. So I'm just going to say, okay, I have a boat that has 450 horsepower main engine and my genset is 40. So that would mean that I would put 490 in here. So we don't need to put anything else in there, no other text. So you don't need to put HP or horsepower or anything like that. Just the digits is fine. That's all we need. So these next two categories, these are actually what we call the operating conditions. So what we're looking for here on this very first one, you can see it's got an operating temperature of sub 32 degrees or plus 32 degrees. Now when we say 32 degrees, we actually mean over 32 degrees or extremely humid. So, sometimes you're in Papua New Guinea and it's 31, but it's 95% humidity. Well, that's the kind of conditions we're looking for. So sub 32, we're not going to add any other factor in that. Over 32, we're going to consider that you need extra air for better cooling. So we're going to add a higher percentage of in our air calculations there. So typically what you might consider is you might have a vessel in Sydney, you are out and about around up and down the peninsula and you don't go very far and it's under 32 routinely and it's all good. However, maybe once a year you go out to Tahiti and you actually are going on a big game fishing boat and it's in February because it's quiet, it's 35 degrees, it's 90% humidity. You need to tick this higher box if that's the case. You just need to keep in mind that our equipment has a very long lifespan. So if you don't know what the vessel is going to be used for, you're in an area that they could operate in hot conditions, you do need to choose the higher one. You don't want to have to come back in 2 years' time and completely redo all the equipment because they're operating in high conditions and you should have had better airflow. So that's really what that is about. So while you might routinely operate in a lower condition, you need to tick this higher one if you do ever operate your vessel in more extreme conditions. This next setup, this exhaust setup, that's actually a very similar situation. So what we're just asking for there is whether you have wet or dry exhaust. Wet exhaust, we're not going to add any extra factor into your airflow because that's not going to produce any significant extra heat into your engine room. However, dry exhaust will. So if you choose dry exhaust, we're going to add an extra level of airflow because we're going to assume that your engine room is going to be hotter from the hot air pumping in from your dry exhaust. So I'm just going to choose wet exhaust for now. So now that we've done that, we just need to come down to our capture information here. Somehow I always get these wrong. I always look at a 7, I think it's a Z or vice versa. But if you get it wrong, there we go, it will tell you and you can see it gives you a red error. So just re-enter the information there in the new capture. So I'm just going to put that in. Won't be a second. Okay, and just click calculate. So this is going to bring you, you're going to get this little message up here and this is going to bring you to your results list. So you can see now, and you see that little email pop up down there. If you saw that, it's my email telling me that I have a new report from ACT. So there you go. So this is actually just your report, and you can't see a lot on this screen, and we can't actually change that, unfortunately. So there's much more information in there than you can see. The only thing I would say is try not to click on the email, because I don't know what Apple does, but Windows, if you click on that, it assumes that you want to email that person and it tries to open Outlook. So just kind of avoid clicking on that. You can click anywhere else. You can see when you're on the email, it changes to a little hand, and it looks like that's the only place to click, but you can do it anywhere else. The cursor just doesn't kind of reflect that you can. So just one click on any of those items, and this is what we call the base report. So this does have all the information that you need. It doesn't have our grill and fan damper recommendations, but it does have the information. However, it's not particularly attractive, and it's a little bit hard to read. Unfortunately, we can't edit the layout of this. It just is what it is. So what we've actually done is we've created a better report, and to access it, you're going to come up here to More. You're going to click on the More, and then you're going to click Print. Okay, and then this is the actual, sorry, I'm just going to cancel out that. I don't actually want to print it. This is the report that you're going to see. It's going to make more sense. This is also the report that gets emailed to you as a PDF. So this is all the information. So this first section is your vessel reference. That's the boat name we put in and the person who did it, the email it went to, all that kind of stuff. That email is actually really handy, because in the future, if you come back to edit this and you can't find it in your emails, but you know you did it, you can come back and have a look and know that it went to someone else. So you can actually know where it went. This next section here is the vessel info that you provided us. So it's got all the engine room dimensions, your horsepower, and then your operating conditions. Sorry, went a bit far there. This next section is our air outcomes. So based on the conditions you gave us, we're going to show you the results here. So combustion air, exchange air, any extra percentages, which I will talk about that in a minute, and then the total air in cubic meters. This is cubic meters per second. This is all in, so that's the formula. The general notes section is just notes about those outcomes, about air and things like that. We're going to come down to our equipment recommendations section here, and this is going to start with our intake grills. So we've given you the penetration sizes that you'll need for both intake grills as a single stage and a double stage, a two-stage grill. Now the reason we've done that is you might not know the operating conditions just yet, but if the vessel is going to be in calm waters and onshore, it's a single stage grill. If it's going to be out in heavy conditions in green water, you're definitely going to want a two-stage grill. So that just gives you the option, so at a later date you can act accordingly based on that information. The information here, the guidelines here relate to the grill, so it's just going to be maximum sizes, if you're within cooee, that kind of thing. Okay, the air ducts, that we're going to give you a recommended duct size and a minimum duct size. Now this minimum duct size is fairly firm. We really don't want you to go under that. However, if you do have, for example, if this says 0.11 and you have 0.09, just get in touch. Just talk to Brad or Mark, and I'm sure there's probably a way that we can work around that or work out something for you. We don't like to advertise there's any leeway, because there really isn't, but considering other setups you have, there may be a workaround that they can do. So this bottom section is your fan damper footprint. So this is going to give you the size of fan damper footprint that we recommend. Now just be aware here, if this, when you get into this report, if this says something along the lines of requires specific calculations or something like that, there's no challenge. We can still provide the fan damper, no problem at all. It just means it's outside of our standard stock sizes. So we have like half a dozen standard stock sizes, and we do calculate based on all these outcomes what would work in your situation. However, if it is outside of that, again, no challenge at all. Just call Mark or Brad, and they will walk you through calculating out what you do require. So that's pretty easy. And again, the guidelines down here, they all just relate to the fan damper footprint. So they've got to do with the fan damper footprint. So once we've had a look at that, you can see everything's, I was going to go back and talk about that. So this extras air here, that is going to be based on your operating conditions. So for example, if you said you were in a tropical environment and you had dry exhaust, that figure is going to be 50%. So we're going to consider that you need 50% more air than just your combustion air and your exchange air to keep that engine room in the environment that it should be. So if it's one or the other, obviously that percentage will reflect which one you have, but if it's both, it would be 50. Okay, so we've kind of done with that. We're happy with that. I'm just going to close out of that window, and we're just going to be back to our normal report, which we don't need to see anymore. Okay, now if you do, sorry, I forgot to show you can actually edit these. So if you click oh, sorry, you can delete them. Yes, probably not. If you do delete it though, just beware there is no recycle bin. So if you delete it, it's gone for good. So just be aware of that. If you do edit this, what it's going to do, it's going to overwrite the information in this. So if you do want to do like a second version, so if you want to do another option, so let me just show here what I mean. If I change this to dry exhaust, and then we go back and have a look again, you can see that's changed to dry exhaust. So it overwrites the information in this report. So if you do want to do multiple reports, or you do want to do more than one option, I would suggest that you just copy your vessel reference here. And then we're just going to go back to the form. And we're going to do a new form. We're going to put that vessel reference in, and we're just going to add something that shows us it's the first version. So whatever naming convention works for you, that shows that it's the kind of the first version of the form that you've done. And then you can do multiple forms, and they're all going to be there for you when you're ready. Okay, and now that we're done, we can just come over to our little portfolio here and just click sign out, and that's just going to take us straight back to the sign in page. So this is the page you used when you signed in. So you can see the URL up here. Now, if you do kind of get lost, you can just replace that ACT with all the W's, and you'll go back to the main website. Yep, and there's your little sign-in link there. So it's going to bring you back to the same page. So yeah, that's it. Any support that you need, if you click on this page here, this is going to, obviously it doesn't have anything just yet because I'm just doing the recording now, but it's going to have a video and documentation that will help you. It's very, very simple to use, and once you've done it once, I don't think you're going to really need any help. However, we're always there if you do. If you have any suggestions or anything that you think could work better, by all means drop us a line. Just keeping in mind, we have tried to keep it simple. So if there's anything that you need or you think you benefit from, by all means let us know. And we hope that you enjoy using ACT and it helps you to get your airflow quickly and easily with a little stress. Thanks.